We're back live after the intro. What's up, my beautiful people? It's your boy Gio. We're back on another episode of the Gio Jackson Sports Talk Show. A lot of topics today, a lot of things happen in the world of sports, and a lot of things are going to be happening these next coming weeks. But first, always, we check in. How's everyone doing? How's everyone starting off their week? Hopefully, their week starting off well. Monday, back to the grind. New month, March. Time's flying. Time's flying. It just felt like it was January, and now we're in March. Sooner or later, we'll be in the summer and then doing it all over again. But continue grinding, continue doing things for yourself, for your mental health. Whether it is taking time to work out, being with loved ones, stuff like that. Do things like that. Um, Stress is going on, life happening. Just remember, things will pass. Everything's gonna be great. Be positive. But yeah, let's jump in. Let's jump into the topic. So let's start off with football. A lot of news has been happening, especially here in the Bay Area. So the Niners defensive coordinator search has come to an end. We finally have hired a defensive coordinator. It's been a long search since we lost the Super Bowl. Obviously, we fired Steve Wilkes, and the Niners hired Nick Sorensen and Brandon Staley. Actually, they hired Nick Sorensen to be our defensive coordinator, and they also hired Brandon Staley to be our assistant head coach. Basically, he's going to be, I guess, helping out Nick Sorensen with the defense. So Kyle Shanahan could just focus on the offense. Um, my thoughts. So my thoughts on these hires. Nick Sorensen has been with us for I think 2-3 years. He's been a defensive assistant. He's mostly worked as our defensive pass coordinator. So his job was just making sure our pass defense. I guess whatever that means, that's what he took care of. He used to be a player in the NFL. He used to actually be an assistant DB's coach back in Seattle when the Legion of Boom was going around. So he's learned under obviously Pete Carroll, Salah. He knows the system. We run the similar system as Seattle used to run with the Legion of Boom, cover three system, wide nine. But let's jump in. My thoughts on this hires. I feel like this was not their first choice. This is probably option C in the search for the defensive coordinator. News came out last week that they did reach out to Bill Belichick, and Bill Belichick said, "I'm good. I'm gonna do TV." Hey, you can't fault the Niners for reaching out. They did what they had to do. Obviously, Bill Belichick's probably he's won Super Bowls as a head coach. Why would he lower himself? But they tried. The one that was interesting to me is they offered the job to Steve Spagnuolo, who's the defensive coordinator for the Chiefs. Um, I don't know how far they got. They offered the job, but Kansas City rebutted and they offered him an extension. But my thoughts, I don't know if you guys have been keeping tabs on this, but we also interviewed Kansas City's defensive back coach, Dave Merritt. That was interesting and intriguing for me, and I was very interested in the Niners going in that way. Obviously, what I've been saying ever since we lost the Super Bowl is we need something new. We need a new set of eyes on this team. I feel like with the hires that we just did, maybe not Staley, but definitely Sorensen it's more of the same. It just tells me that this team thinks they're good enough with what they got to win it. And I feel like if they would have gone with Dave Merritt, Vrabel, Brian Flores, they would have had someone that wasn't someone that doesn't know like how we run the team. Obviously, they tried it with Steve Wilkes, it didn't work. But like I said, I feel like Steve Wilkes got dealt a bad hand. But Dave Merritt was interesting because they interviewed him. But before they interviewed him, he did. I guess he was on on the Kansas City local radio, and he talked about what happened in the Super Bowl. How were you guys able to stop the Niners offense? Blah blah blah. And they asked him, what his thoughts was of the Niners letting go of Steve Wilkes. And he said, "Hey, I don't think it was Steve Wilkes' fault. It was probably brewing. It wasn't because of the result in the Super Bowl that he got fired, but he felt that the offense let the team down. And he was very critical on certain players. He was critical on, I believe, George Kittle and Brandon Ayuk. He even, he just called Brandon Ayuk number 11 and he misspoke of his name. And a lot of the Niners people, fans, they got offended because, this player's like, this coach is talking bad about the Niners, saying, that it was the offense that let down Kyle, that let the team down. But that's something I've been saying, that this was on Kyle Shanahan. It wasn't on Steve Wilkes. Steve Wilkes had a top 3 defense in the NFL. Like, the defense was not the issue. Certain games, they did get gas with the run game, but I feel like it was just more of them tired. Obviously, there was a disconnect throughout the season. The fact that they made him come down from the booth to the field, a lot of the players probably, it's not that they didn't respect him, but maybe it wasn't their cup of tea. And I felt like if we were to bring like a Dave Merritt, someone that's coming from Kansas City that knows what it takes to win a Super Bowl. He's won 3 in Kansas City. He won 2 in the Giants as an assistant defensive coach. I feel like that should have been the hire. He would have kept it real with Kyle, would have kept him accountable. And then I feel like that's what the Niners need. Someone that's going to keep Kyle accountable, that will challenge him. And that's how, in anything in life, right? That's how you become to grow. That's how you grow. You get better. Not with a bunch of yes men around you telling you you're doing a great job. You're the best. There's, it's their fault. It's not your fault. Someone that keeps you accountable is what this team needs, what all the, everyone needs. And so this begs, this gives me, this makes me think. So, who will run this defense? Who is the real defensive coordinator? Is it Nick Sorensen or is it Brandon Staley? And the reason I ask that is because Brandon Staley, he has obviously more experience. He's been a head coach in the Chargers. It didn't go well for him there. He got fired after the Raiders, put up 62 points on him with the Chargers. And, at the Chargers, he had a great defense. He had Joey Bosa, Nick Bosa's brother. He had Derwin James, Khalil Mack. Their linebackers were good. They had Asante Samuel Jr., their cornerback. And that defense, didn't play well. Where he shined was his 1 year in the Rams. He coached them for a year and made them the number 1 defense back in 2021. And before that, he learned under Vic Fangio, who's a respected defensive coordinator in the NFL. He used to be our defensive coordinator back in the Harbaugh days. So, he has some experience with someone like Sorensen. He's just been assistant coach this year. Like I said, he was our past defense coordinator. First time that he's going to call plays for the defense. So it makes me question that the Niners want to hire Brandon Staley as the defensive coordinator, but they feared that the players weren't going to like it, especially Nick Bosa, talking with his brother Joey Bosa about his experience with him in the Chargers. So they decided, hey, we're going to give the title to Nick Sorensen, but Brandon Staley is the one that's going to run everything, behind the scenes. And could it work? Maybe it could work. We'll have Sorensen on the field. Brandon Staley will be in the booth, and he'll give recommendations, right? But I feel like it could also hinder this team because maybe the players start questioning who's the real leader. If their playing time gets affected, do I go to Sorensen and complain? Do I go to Staley and complain? Or do I go to Kyle Shanahan and complain? Who knows? But I'm interested in what the Niners have to say about this. I don't know if they'll say anything about it. They're not going to talk for us till maybe closer to the draft. They'll have a press conference, and then maybe they'll get asked, what's Brandon Staley's role on this team? It is a assistant head coach, but is he going to be running the defense? Is Sorensen the one that's going to make all the decisions, and Staley's just going to make recommendations? We'll see. I'm interested. Obviously, the Niners, they're always a soap opera. But one hire that we actually made that I'm very interested and intrigued is today they also hired former Seattle Seahawks linebacker KJ Wright becomes our assistant linebacker coach and defensive quality control. What's intriguing about this is many moons ago, many years ago, D'Amico Ryans, he started off as an assistant linebacker coach and quality control for us. And then we know what happened with him. You know, he was promoted to linebacker coach. Then he went to our defensive coordinator. And, you know, now he's tearing it up in Houston as their head coach with CJ Stroud. And, you know, Miko was always great. And what I like about this hire is KJ Wright, you know, obviously he knows the system. He played in Seattle in the Legion of Boom. And, you know, he's probably the best person that knows the system, the ins and outs. He probably knows it, you know, in the back of his hand. And, you know, he's going to work with Fred Warner, with our young, you know, we have now that Drake Greenlaw, you know, he might be out maybe half the season. We do have, we did draft this year good linebackers. We have D Winters and the other one escapes my name. I think his last name is Graham. He was good in training camp. He's going to work with them. And who knows, maybe potentially in the next couple of years, he might be our defensive coordinator. And I've seen some clips on Twitter where he talks football. He talks about, you know, different things that had happened in the season with different linebackers, defense. And he knows his stuff. He knows his stuff. He seems smart. And it just brings a smile to my face that another Seattle, you know, player, Sherman, you know, he writes for the Niners. Seattle Seahawks fans, they hate him. They hate that about him. And now we have KJ Wright coming over. All jokes aside, you know, I think it's a good hire. It's going to benefit us, and you know, it should be a great move going forward. Now we come to another one, Ayuk update. So the NFL Combine just happened this past weekend, and you know, owners are there, GMs are there, coaches are there. There's a lot of chatter going around. And Ian Rappaport from NFL Network, he said, you know, the Niners are going to be working. Their top priority is to resign Brandon Ayuk. But if they think that it's not going anywhere, they're open to trade him. Hearing that, you know, me, I'm going to be straightforward. I would like the Niners to resign Brandon Ayuk because I feel like Brandon Ayuk has built this relationship with Brock Purdy. I think he's our best receiver on our team. And I don't want to see him go, you know. Why are we going to let a leader on our team? Ever since we drafted him, he's always been good, always shows up to training camp, ready to play, has been our, you know, this past year, you know, he was a second team all pro. If you're going to pay a player, you pay a player like that, you know, that's, you know, he's ready to play, committed, doesn't come out of shape like a certain wide back we have. And these are the type of players you want to play. We drafted him. We went up in the draft to get him. So it's obviously a player they wanted. So I'm gonna just say that up front. I don't want him to go. But the thing about the Niners is they got to worry about next year. Next year they got to pay Brock Purdy. If Brock Purdy continues to play how he plays, you know, we're gonna have to make that decision if we're gonna pay him 50, 60 million a year. And you know, there's other players that will come up, you know, Diamadou Lenore. If Tolano Hofunga keeps playing, you know, at all pro level, that's another player that they're gonna have to pay. So they got to start thinking, right? And you know, we do. There is a couple needs on this team that we need. You know, O line, more D linemen. We, you know, maybe linebacker, but other than that, we're pretty stacked. Um, so what can we get for Ayuk? There's a couple teams that, you know, I find intriguing that they may be able to get him. Sorry, 1 second. Sorry again. Okay. One that's definitely comes to mind, and I think I've said it before, is the Houston Texans. They have CJ Stroud on a rookie deal for the next maybe 4 years. Maybe they're able to maybe we're able to work out a trade out with them. I don't think they have a first round pick, but maybe second or third. A lot of people they would want a first round pick. But I think that one's come to mind, and I feel like Ayuk. Obviously, D'Amico Ryans knows Ayuk, and I think if you're a Houston Texans fan, CJ Stroud with Ayuk, that would go crazy. Um, Other teams that could be a possibility. I mean, there's always the Kansas City Chiefs, but the thing is also is any team that trades for Ayuk is going to have to pay him. So uh, I don't know if we can get a high first round draft pick because a team could just say, I'll rather just draft a rookie and I won't have to pay this player for the next 5 years. But if I'm the Niners and I am going to trade Ayuk, I want the first round pick, and there is some good receivers in the first round in this draft. Obviously, there's a Dunze from Washington. There's one from, I believe he played in LSU, Brandon Thomas. He's like 6'3". He ran fast. He can block. He's big, paws, tall. That's someone I would be interested in if we wanted to replace Ayuk. By the end of the day, I don't want to trade Ayuk. I want him to be on the team. And, the player that, if there's a way we can trade him, I think, is Debo. That contract, is a lot, 28 million going against the cap. Obviously, we wouldn't get a first round pick for Debo. I'm sorry. It would most likely look like maybe a third. If we got a second, let's do it. The reason why is obviously the cap hit. And, one team that comes to mind that might be able to trade, and he's from there, the Carolina Panthers. They need weapons for, man, I forgot his name. The number one pick. He played in Alabama. Bryce Young. That might be intriguing if they say, hey, we'll give you a third, or, or if they give us a second, it would be, I don't think they'll give us a second, but if they give us a third, it's basically a second pick, because they're bad and it's a high third round pick. I'll do it. And then, we could be looking like at Brendan Rice, Jerry Rice's son. He's coming out in this draft. Obviously there's sentiment there because he's Jerry Rice's son and you want him on the team, but if he wasn't Jerry Rice's son, he's a good wide receiver. Played in USC, 6'3". He ran pretty well. I think he ran a 4.5. He's scrappy. That, I would take him, and then I would resign Juwan Jennings. I feel like Juwan Jennings, he could step up in that number 2 role. Ayuk, Kittle, Jennings. We have McCaffrey. We don't really need that wide back. What Debo provides, we have it in, McCaffrey. So I think, that might be a move I'm willing to make, to keep Ayuk. And then obviously in the future, pay Brock Purdy. But we'll see what they do. This is, next week is the start of free agency. So there's going to be a lot of talk this week, next week. And another thing the Niners should do, the Niners like to wait to pay their players at the end. And what that does is teams set the market. So today, Mike Evans, he just signed a new contract, 2-year deal. I think it's like 52 million, 36 guaranteed. So yearly he's making about 26. So that's right now the starting point for Ayuk, 26. The thing Mike Evans has is he's been doing it for 10 years, all pro, Pro Bowl, maybe Hall of Famer. But that's where Ayuk's going to start at 26 million. But let's say Justin Jefferson signs his deal before Ayuk and he gets 30 million a year. Well, Brandon Ayuk's going to tell the Niners, if Justin Jefferson got 30, I think I deserve 28 or 29 or 30 or maybe 31. You see, and if the Niners are able to sign Ayuk earlier, they get to set, the mark. And they may be, okay, Mike Evans got 26, we're going to give you 28. Ayuk's like, I'll take it. I'll do it. Instead of waiting for Justin Jefferson, for St. Brown, for them to get their contracts first. And now Ayuk, he has leverage. He's going to see, all right, if they got that, then I deserve this. So I wish the Niners did that, but they never do. They like to wait till the end. Um, but it could also backfire. Maybe the teams don't pay these receivers, and maybe maybe we get Ayuk at a good deal. But Ayuk's not going to give us a discount. He deserves his money. Hopefully, he gets his money. In other news that happened today, Jason Kelsey, he finally officially announced his retirement. Center for the Eagles, um, Hall of Famer, definitely center. Happy for him. Happy that the Eagles lose. Jason Kelsey, he's a great player. I wish him all the best. He's probably going to have a career in TV. Very animated, funny guy. Uh, but Hall of Famer. What more can you say? Shouts out to Jason Kelsey. Happy that the Eagles don't have you anymore. Haha, just kidding. Something else that was announced today in the football world is Russell Wilson not writing anymore. Pause. So Russell Wilson, Denver Broncos let Russell Wilson know that they're gonna cut him. So this is very interesting because basically Denver is gonna pay Russell Wilson's salary, so Russell Wilson can sign for the vet minimum on any team. So if there's a team that wants to contend that has players, they could sign Russell Wilson for nothing. There's been a lot of chatter. Shout out my boy Chidi to the Steelers. Russell Wilson to the Steelers. Looks pretty interesting. I think Russell Wilson, he wasn't used well in Denver. And I feel like he didn't have that bad of a year this year. So that's interesting. The Steelers. What other team? Let's go through the teams. Obviously, not the Niners. Seattle. That could be a Seattle move. Like I said, I'm not a Geno Smith fan at all. I don't think he's that good. Russell Wilson reunion. I don't want that because that's gonna bring nightmares that I've had for you know the past, what was it, like 10 years of seeing him just dominate us. I don't want that. So I say Steelers is one, not the Jets, not the Bills, Patriots, but I think they need more around them. So like Steelers, maybe the Vikings if they don't re-sign Kirk Cousins. That's one to watch out for. That's a good one. Colts has a quarterback. Jaguars, they have a quarterback. Titans, I think they need more players around that. So those are two teams that I'll look out for. Right? Maybe I'm blanking on one, but that's interesting for Russell. Like I said, they can get him for the vet minimum. Don't got to pay him a lot because Denver's going to pay him the rest. So I'm interested to see where Russell Wilson goes and if he's able to get back his career back on track. Like I mentioned, the NFL Combine happened this past weekend, and it's very interesting. There's going to be a lot of quarterbacks taken in the first round, but the top quarterback, Caleb Williams, he did not perform at the Combine. He didn't throw, he didn't run. I'm sure he did interviews with teams, but when the media interviewed him, he seemed, they asked him, why aren't you doing, any of the workouts and stuff? He's like, look at my tape. If you have any questions, just look at my tape. I don't need to show anything more, right? Obviously, you want your quarterback to be confident. You want him to believe in himself, but all the other quarterbacks, they did the workouts and it benefited them. One that sticks out is Michael Penix Jr. He had a good workout, and teams want to see that. Obviously, like I said, they like someone cocky, but they don't like someone that thinks, what's the word? That I'm blanking. What's the word? What's the word? When entitled, he came off as entitled. That he doesn't have to show anything, and I think this might affect him. I think he might not go one, and honestly, I think he ain't gonna be that good in the NFL. We can clip this. We can see if I'm right or wrong, but I don't know. I don't see it in him. He's very flashy. Obviously, he makes plays, but the easy plays, like the structured plays, he doesn't make that. He makes, he has that, he escapes the pocket, he makes crazy throws, but I feel like Jaden Daniels, that's one. Michael Penix, I think the best quarterback is going to be Michael Penix Jr. We'll see. There's questions, because of his injuries, but I think in the long run, this is probably going to make him drop. And like I said, he should have thrown at least, maybe not run, but just throw. It shows that you're humble. It shows that you know you don't think you're above anybody else. Like I said, all the other quarterbacks did it. Why didn't you do it? But he feels that anyone that drafts him, they have the privilege of drafting him because he's Caleb Williams. Some compare him to Mahomes. He could be Mahomes. I don't see it, but only time will tell. That's enough football chatter for today. A lot of things happen. Madrid fans, are you here? Bellingham, red card. So Madrid, Rob, got a couple of those refs and their Eagles, right? So let's talk about it. So if you guys didn't know, Real Madrid, they played who they played? Bilbao, right? So anyway, they played. It's 2-2. Last minute, the ref says the corner kick and the game's over. We got a comment here. Facts. So the ref says, I believe it says, after this corner kick, the game's going to be over, right? So Real Madrid gets the corner. It's 2-2. They corner, they send the corner. They clear it, but they still keep playing, right? And you could see the ref looking at the play. And, if it was, all right, it's one, if they clear the corner, the game's over, you blow the whistle right there. You don't let that extra play happen. So then I think Brahim Diaz has the ball. The ref's still looking at him. He's not blowing the whistle. He sees that he's going to send the cross, and then he decides to blow the whistle. But why would you do that? Because anything can happen, right? There could be a foul in the box. They could score a goal, which Bellingham did. Um, just blow the whistle once they clear the corner. So he crosses it in. Bellingham scores. But the ref says, he had to blow the whistle before, when he did the cross, and the game's over. Obviously, there's been a lot of controversy, a lot of talk. Did they get robbed? Did they get not? I think my opinion is, if you're seeing the ref is clearly seeing him making the cross, let that play out. The defenders could clear it, then right away blow the whistle. Or they could score. It should have been a goal. It wasn't. It's a tie. It is what it is. But it's interesting moving forward. And I know in La Liga, there's been a lot of talk with the refs. They've been iffy throughout the season. But, man, I feel for Bellingham. I probably would have reacted the same way. Just give him a yellow. It was straight red. I think he said, it was a fucking goal. Something like that. Give him a yellow. Obviously, there's emotions going on. They had to win. You don't got to make it about yourself, ref. But I don't know. I don't know if VAR could check that. Let's see. The fact that he had the whistle in his mouth, then took it out only to blow it just as the play happened. Nah, that's all ego. Yeah, man. Just blow the whistle, right? If you said after this corner, the game's over, blow the whistle. Don't, like I said, anything could happen in that cross. There could have been a PK. They clear it or they score a goal. And that's what I feel like these Spanish refs are like. The ref, no one wants to know the name of the ref, right? No one wants, that's not, I don't grow up being like, man, I can't wait. I want to be a ref when I grow up. Let's be real. We want to be, the players, right? Do what you got to do. Ref the game. Obviously, there's always going to be controversy. You might miss a call. Now you have VAR. That's another issue. I don't like VAR. It's like, what can be checked? What can't be checked? But if the ref, is fair on both sides, like I said, you're going to get hate either side. If you call it for one team, the other team is going to complain, vice versa. It is what it is. You take it. But when you make things like this, I don't know. This is not the beautiful game I grew up with. I'll say that. But this is 2 weeks now in La Liga that there's been some crazy things. Obviously, a ref getting injured, and then this that happened in the past weekend. But I don't know what they can do. Maybe they could appeal the red card. Hopefully, they do. It shouldn't. You shouldn't have given him a red card. Like I said. But what can you do? Now, the other top Spanish team, Barcelona, they had a lot of injuries this past weekend. They lost De Jong. I think it's going to be an injury more than a month. Something with his, I think his knee, right? That's harsh. And Pedri. I don't know how long Pedri's out. Madrid has banned ref on. Madrid had a banned ref on the field this week in the UCL. This week coming up, like tomorrow or Wednesday. That's crazy. That's crazy. But yeah, man, these injuries in Barcelona, um, awful. Obviously, De Jong and Pedri. Man, Barcelona. I don't know, man. I saw that there was a report that actually Barcelona, like their heads, their the cabinet, they want Javi to stay, but Javi has been adamant that at the end of the season he's leaving. He's letting someone else take over, and it's probably is just stressful for him. Um, it's tough. It's a tough position where Barcelona is. I remember Barcelona, they used to be a top team. And the other day I was thinking about this. Obviously, last season they won the league, but has it really been competitive with Real Madrid? What I'm trying to say is, back in the day, right? Barcelona and Real Madrid, they'll go back and forth, right? For a while, Barcelona, they were dominant. Then Madrid, with Bale, with Ronaldo, with Benzema, they had their little run, and it was back and forth. You'll win one, you'll lose one, but it was back and forth. But lately, I don't know. I feel like obviously Madrid, they've won Champions League. They are the better team. They have the better players. It doesn't seem, you know, that doesn't seem as that heavyweight battle that it used to be. Barcelona has won some, but when it mattered, Real Madrid has won. And I don't know what needs to change in Barcelona. Obviously, their finances is what's put a burden on them. As we've talked before, maybe it's selling one of these young top players to get that money and rebuild. I know Alberto, you mentioned that let the youngs play, like the youngsters play, and kind of punt the next couple years and hope they develop. And there, at least you have some homegrown talent, and then you can build around them. But if Real Madrid is able to get Mbappe in the summer, I think it's GG's. But only time will tell. Yeah, Italian ref that got banned is gonna ref the game against Red Bull. Who if he's banned, why is he refing? Like who? I don't know. But FIFA's corrupt, UEFA's corrupt. We know this. But I mean, with that ref banned or not, I think Real Madrid takes care of business. If we're honest. But as they go in the later stages of the Champions League, hopefully they don't affect the game. Speaking of Champions League, I don't know if you guys saw, there's been a change in Champions League next season. So obviously the format has always been group stage. Top two teams qualified to the knockout stage. Third team qualifies to Europa League. Fourth team, arrivederci, bye bye. So now, they have introduced a Super League. Get it? But they introduced this league format now. So I think it's now going to be 36 teams. I believe I saw that the top 8 teams of the Super League. So it's 36 teams. They're going to play each other. The top 8 teams will automatically qualify to the knockout stage. Teams 9 through, I forgot, but I think it's teams 9 through 20 something. They're going to play each other. And whoever wins will play the top 8 seeds that have progressed to the knockout stage. And I think the last 10 teams that don't qualify, they're just out of Europe. And that's for Champions League, Europa League, and the Europa Conference League. What have they done to this beautiful game? Man, all these changes. Why? Obviously money, right? I think, but I feel like there was nothing wrong with the Champions League format that they had, the group stages. it gives those lower like European teams, at least some Champions League, games. I don't know. I don't think there needed to be a change like this. Maybe it might be entertaining because their whole thing is they're saying um, a lot of the top European teams are going to play earlier against each other, and it's going to be meaningful, right? Because you got to win your games to progress. So it could be good, but I don't know. I feel like they should have kept it how it was. Um, you know, if it ain't broke, don't fix. I mean, the Champions League is still one of the best club soccer tournaments in the whole world. I mean, Champions League is where you see the best football played. If it's not like even in certain World Cup games, right? And the group stages, you get a couple blocks, but once you get to knockout stages in Champions League, this is where you see the best of soccer. But it might be good. I don't know. I believe they shouldn't have changed it. Only time will tell, as we keep saying. Only time will tell. But what are your guys' thoughts? If you guys are watching this later on, leave it in the comments your thoughts on the changes on the Champions League. If you guys are here, what do you guys think? Did you even hear about it? I saw this earlier today on Twitter. Um, I guess the only benefit that I will say is there's going to be more teams instead of 32. There's going to be 36 teams. Um, so maybe Chelsea might have a chance to be back in the Champions League. Who knows? Speaking of Chelsea, man, they drew against Brentford this weekend. Horrible, horrible game. We basically were going to lose, but Diassi scored the tying goal at the end. So, question that was asked is, do you sack Pochettino? Yes. If so, who would you want as the next coach? Let me start off by I've been saying this, right? It's not all on Pochettino. I think the structure of what Chelsea has become after Abramovich has left is, they just want to make money. The owner wants to make money off the team. He doesn't care about results. If he cared about results, obviously Tuchel fan, and he's not doing so great in Bayern, but they would have kept Tuchel. But an interesting fact that I saw is Graham Potter had a better record than Pochettino. And that's crazy to me. Pochettino, serial loser. And it's the accountability that we speak of. Every game, when they interviewed him, what went wrong, what could he have done better is the lads play good. We were unlucky. But I'm seeing progress. I'm not seeing progress. Um, we won't speak about the Liverpool loss with Leeds in the FA Cup. We barely beat them, and I thought Leeds played better than us. And the only reason Leeds lost is because we have quality players that made one quality play to win it, and we couldn't play. We couldn't beat Brentford. Like Brentford's like on the lower. Well, I mean, I'm saying like Chelsea's a top team, but we have quality players. We've invested in this team billions of dollars, and you can't beat a Brentford. But who's the next coach? Honestly, even if they were to bring a next coach, I don't know if the owner is able to let the coach do what he wants. The reason why I didn't work with Tuchel is Tuchel wasn't going to let this owner tell him what to do, because it's like, you're the owner, stick to that. I'm gonna stick to coaching what I know. I'm not going to tell you how to run a team because I've never ran a team. I'm just a soccer coach. So let me do my thing and I'll let you do your thing. And I feel like, the owner, he wanted a little bit more. It's his team. I get it. But you hire someone that knows what they're doing and have confidence that in what they're doing, is going to be right. And I feel like he likes to hire coaches that are a bunch of yes men. Graham Potter, what is he going to tell this owner? We're still paying him. Pochettino, he just seems like a yes man, and if it's a profit, he's going to still be there. But I think he should be sacked. My top choice would be Mourinho, if the top of my head. Obviously, he had many stints with us. Mourinho's a legend at the club. But if we went, I would be open to Tuchel as well. He's probably going to be let go. Maybe a cheeky bid for Javi Alonso. Doubt it. Javi, hey, I'll take him. Different play style. Chelsea is doesn't play that style, but that would be something new and refreshing. But I don't know. I don't know if he'll be sacked, honestly. Hopefully he does. But I don't know what this club has become. As Drogba says, effing disgrace. Now we got one that says, please don't talk about Chivas or Manchester United. And it's probably because Chivas, they lost 3-0 against Cruz Azul. We do have here by our friend Prieto, el Cruz Azul por la décima y el América me la pela. But Chivas, they lost 3-0. Antuna scored 2 on them. Manchester United, they lost the derby against Man City. Haaland came back. He came through, decimated, and with a devastating, Manchester is blue. Always, like I said, I shouldn't be talking. My Chelsea's bad, but at least Manchester United, they lost, and that brings at least enjoyment to me. But Cruz Azul, they lost last week against America, but they were to defeat Chivas. They're in the top. They're fighting for the top spots in the Mexican League. Pachuca won a last-minute game winner. They're at the top as well with America. So we'll see. I mean, we'll see if Cruz Azul can get their 10th star. But like I said, Pachuca's there, America's there. Obviously, Tigres, Monterrey, they're always good. Which leads to a all-time Liga MX 5 aside. Ochoa, goalkeeper. No questions. Defender. Well, Rafa Marquez, he did play. He started off there, so I'll go Rafa Marquez, Guardado. On top. So we'll go Rafa Marquez, Guardado, Cuauhtemoc Blanco, and my forward is going to be Borghetti. That's what I'll choose. That's 5, right? I got a goalie. Rafa Marquez, Guardado, Cuauhtemoc, or Borghetti. And as myself, El Pony Reese, just for the crosses to Borghetti. But that's what I would pick. But there's so many that you can choose from, honestly. So this past weekend, friend of the show, Bonnie, and friend of the show, obviously, Bonnie invited me to go watch LA Galaxy versus Earthquakes here because friend of the show, Chidi. What's up, Chidi? He plays for the Galaxy, so we want to go, watch the game. Galaxy won easily, 3-1. It could have been more. I feel like second half they didn't put they didn't go. They sat back a little bit. They stopped putting the foot on the gas. But very disappointed on the Earthquakes. And which leads to this question of what do you think San Jose Earthquakes needs to create a bigger fan base? So obviously, most of us here, we live in the Bay Area. The Earthquakes are the Bay Area team, right? But I don't know, I've never felt a affiliation to them. I've never felt an attachment to the team, right? Or just in general to the MLS. Only reason I watch the MLS now is because, like I said, our boy Chidi, he plays for the Galaxy. And, he got me rooting for a LA team, which we don't do that. Fuck LA. But for Galaxy, we ride. We want to see our boys succeed. And Galaxy has a pretty good team. They, they should have beat Miami. Their mistakes, caused them to tie the game. And, hey, that first half, they dominated the Earthquakes. Ricky Poog, you could just tell, different class. The way he moves, his touch on the ball, him able to create, different. Last episode, we talked about the winger, Paintsill. I said, he couldn't do that last minute, the pass or the goal. Like, that's what he was missing this game. Man, they couldn't stop him. He's quick. He scored, assisted. I think he's going to be good. This season, he's going to be good. He's going to be good for the Galaxy. And I feel like the Galaxy, they might be fighting for the top of the table for playoffs. But let's talk about the Earthquakes, right? One news that was broke last week was that Vela could sign for the Earthquakes. Even if they got Vela, this team needs midfielders. They need defenders. They need someone that could play off Vela like a striker. I know, like I said, I don't follow this team like that, but I know they got a young striker. Man, it honestly felt like they didn't play with strikers. And like I said, the midfield got bossed. Their defenders horrible. There is no identity. I think the only player they got is that winger. What's his name? Spinoza, right? That's the only player they got. And man, all Galaxy had to do was just mark him because the rest of the team they didn't do crap. So what do they need to create a bigger fan base? They need to sell the team. They need to sell a team to, I don't know, someone that's going to put money into this team that the team can make profit. If the team is good, people will show up. People do show up for the Earth. There's a lot of Earthquakes fans, diehards that go week in, week out. They have that Latino culture that they could promote. That's a nice stadium, very easy to get there. And if the team played good, people will show up. You know, if we're able to get, like I said, they got Vela, they able to get like a Modric, create some buzz on this team, have like the other Bay Area teams promoted as well. I know they work with the Niners. It could be something. It could be something. It could be something, you know, that we all look forward to here in the Bay. But they just need to bring someone that's gonna bring that attention. Obviously, Bella would be good for the Mexican community, but like a Modric, and maybe get like a center back, maybe like a Ramos, shit, even Pepe. But obviously, they need someone that's gonna invest in this team, and I feel like the owner, I think, is Fisher, right? I think he owns the. I don't know. Don't quote me, but I think he owns the Ace too, and we know their issues. He need to sell the team. I don't know. But like I said, there's potential there. Hopefully something were to happen, but who knows, man. But watching that game on Saturday, man, I've seen better games at Hoover. I'll say that. Or I've seen better teams at Hoover than this Earthquakes team. Should there be another Bay Area soccer team so there could be a rivalry? That would be cool. I mean, in the city, that would be cool. I know there's the Oakland Roots, right? In Oakland. If they were able to, you know, become an MLS team, it'll give us options as someone in the Bay, right? Whoever's a better team, that's what we're gonna root for. But I don't know. Let's jump into UFC 299. It's gonna be a good card. Some say, you know, it could be potentially better than 300, but banger fight after banger fight. Start off the night is Peter Yan versus Xiao Yadong. Peter Yan, previously bantamweight champ, going up against Xiao Yadong. That one should be good. I'm gonna go with Peter Yan. He's been on the losing streak, but I think he gets it done. The next one, Gilbert Burns versus Jack Della Maddalena. Della Maddalena. Sorry to mention, I butchered his name, but Durinho, fan favorite. Always, you know, always put banger of a fights. He's going up against Jack, who, you know, he's 16-2. He's been up and coming. I think Durinho is able to come through with this one, welterweight. And now, probably, I think that's going to be fight of the night, probably the best matchup. If you don't like UFC and you want to check this out, this matchup here, Kevin Holland versus Michael Venom Page. This one, I know Dana Wright, he does the, if you don't know, now you know. This one right here, banger. Kevin Holland, always one of my favorite fighters. I don't think I've ever seen a boring Kevin Holland fight, if I'm honest. He had one with Wonder Boy that, you know, all he had to do was take him down, but, you know, he stood up with him. And it's going to be similar because Michael Venom Page, what he's good at is striking. He's coming from Bellator to UFC. It's his debut. Watch his highlights. Watch Michael Venom Page's highlights. Incredible fighter. I feel like they're going to put on the show, and I think Michael Venom Page takes this one. I don't know. Man, that one hurts because Kevin Holland, he's my guy. If Kevin Holland takes him down, goes to the ground, GG's. But I think Kevin Holland is going to want to strike, want to put on the show. He is durable, but man, MVP striking is next level. Then the co-main event, Dustin Poirier versus Benoit Saint Denis, French fighter, going up against Dustin Poirier, legend in the lightweight division. But Benoit Saint Denis, 13-1, up and comer, has had good fights. And I think this is the one he needs to become a name in the lightweight division. Dustin Poirier is coming off a loss against Gaethje. He got knocked out, and usually I don't know. There's a trend, right? When fighters come come back from a knockout, they tend to get knocked out again. We just saw with Volk, and I think Benoit Saint Denis is gonna beat Dustin Poirier. Like again, if you watch this later, clip all this and let's see if I got him right or I got him wrong. But I have a feeling Benoit's gonna beat Dustin Poirier in the main event. 4 years ago, they fought Sugar Show Sean O'Malley versus Marlon Chito Vera. Chito Vera, another one that I've grown to enjoy. I like his style. I like that he doesn't give a f about anything. He's going up against Sean O'Malley, who I believe has improved. Than the last time they fought. Obviously, last time they fought, he got hit in the calves and something was messed up with Sean O'Malley's legs, and Chito Vera beat him. Sean O'Malley claims that he's still undefeated, that it was a fluke win. So this is going to be very interesting. Marlon Vera is very durable. What Sean O'Malley has is a striking. Man, I don't know where I'm going to go with this one, but I think I'm going with the Sugar Show. I think the Sugar Show is here to stay. I think he's, like I said, he's improved. And I feel like he wants, to prove something to himself that it was a fluke loss and he wants to avenge that. So I'm going to go with the Sugar Show. But UFC 299, going to be a banger. Where are you guys going to watch it? I'm just looking quickly at the prelims. Curtis Blades, he's the main event in the prelims versus Jailton Almeida, heavyweights. That one's going to be good. But it should be a good one. Good one leading up to UFC 300. Can't wait for this one, honestly. Now we go to next podcast. Next week, I'm going to be doing a podcast and I'll put it out next week. I'm going to film it, edit it, but it should be next week. I promise you that. So next week, there'll be a new podcast. This one's going to be good. Top 5 favorite restaurant places to eat. I'm not much of a restaurant person. If I'm honest with you, I like what I like, right? Gruyense, hands down, the best. What else? What's my go-to? I don't know. My mom's cooking. That's a go-to. But how do a couple shows I mentioned, pizza place in Walnut Creek area called Mellows, good ass pizza. I recommend that spot. Back in the day, Masu, unlimited sushi. I wish it came back. That used to be an amazing spot. I mess with Supreme Crab. I like Supreme Crab. It's good. In and Out. That's not a restaurant, right? Like I said, I'm not much of a restaurant person. I'm not much of like a foodie person. You would think, right, that I would be a foodie person. But like I said, I like In and Out, Gruyense, what else? Wingstop, stuff like that. Restaurants around here. The town's good. Check out the town. That place is good. Casita Chilanga, I can't forget about that. Best tortas in the game. But yeah. One country you would like to visit that is not a common country people visit. I would say, let me look it up before I say and I butchered it. I'm going to say Poland. Why? Because something about me is I love history, and my favorite era of history is World War II. So I would love to visit the Auschwitz concentration camp. It's located in Poland. Obviously, horrible place. But if you're a big history nerd, you want to see a place that a lot of nightmare was done there, and just to learn, just I don't know, just to feel that environment. I'm sure it's very dark, gloomy, and horrible place to be. But I feel like once you learn history, to learn of the tragedies that have happened, brightens up your mind, and it opens up your eyes, to I feel like to just sometimes go back at home when you're stressed out and be like, my life is going great. It could be a lot worse. So that's one place, if I'm thinking out of the box, would be there. Like I said, big World War II nerd. I love that era, learning about, if I could go back in time and go to an era, it would be in that time. Obviously, we would be in war. I would be in war, which is crazy, right? Now, if you speak to someone, if you want to go to war, they say, hell no, for what? But back in those days, it was something you were prideful of, going to war, fighting for your country, fighting against evil, right? The Nazis. Um, but it's crazy how, 70 years later, you tell someone you want to go to war, they say, the only war I go to is Fortnite. But that would be a place I would want to check out in my lifetime. If it's like not a common country, obviously the common ones would be what? Hawaii, Spain, stuff like that, right? That would be one. I don't know if a common one would be, but like also going to the pyramids, that would be a cool one. Because that's one of the wonders of the world. If you could go back in time and tell yourself one thing that you know, what would it be? I would tell myself to buy crypto maybe 10 years ago, because I would be a bazillionaire now. That would be one. I would tell myself of all like these I would tell myself to bet on Holly Holmes against Ronda Rousey. What else? No, but these questions, I don't know. It's just me, but I feel like these questions, obviously, if you can go back and tell yourself of, things that you're mistakes you're going to make in order to prevent them, I feel like you need to go through mistakes in life. You need to go through tough times because it makes you the person that you are today. So if you were to go back and tell yourself, things that you shouldn't do, maybe you don't learn and maybe you're still the same person. Um, but that's my thought on these types of questions. I don't know if you guys feel the same way. Um, but I guess like I said, I would tell myself to invest in different stocks, different cryptos. That would be one. I guess I would benefit. But throughout the things I've been through in my life, I wouldn't change it because, like I said, it just shapes us with the person you are today. I know that's what's it called, a very anticlimactic answer, but that's my thoughts on these questions. Now to wrap it up, thoughts for you gamers out there, thoughts on the new Fortnite season. I'm excited. It'll be this week. I've enjoyed Fortnite lately with the fellas. We play every night. I like that it's set in Greek times, Greek mythology. So there's going to be, different things that they're, let's see what they do, with the, obviously, if you play Fortnite, right, with the current badges that gives you, or maybe we get different power ups, like, or different weapons, like Zeus's lightning, Poseidon, I don't know, some water. What was it, the guy that runs fast? I think his name is Hermes. That's the one that runs fast. Maybe we get to run fast. So I'm excited. Obviously, something new. Hopefully, this season they bring back OG Fortnite because that was fun. But I'm excited for the skins, everything, and hopefully we on tonight. We on tonight, 9:30. But that's it, guys, for today. I'm starving. So any last minute questions? I appreciate everyone coming through the show. If you watch this later, I appreciate you sticking through the whole show. Let me know what you thought. Leave a comment. If you can like this, that would be great for me. If you can subscribe, if you haven't, please subscribe. We're at 73 subscribers, working to 100. Hopefully, we get there. But thank you again for all the support, all the comments that you guys leave, and questions you guys leave. This show, obviously, I like it because I get to interact with you guys. We go back and forth, and it's like if we were just chopping it up at a bar talking sports, right? That's what I try to make the show about. Thank you again. Hopefully this week goes amazing, and I'm out. Peace.